Hi everyone, I thought I would do a quick room tour, show you my PC and the consoles I've got set up. Apologise for any creaking floorboards or anything, because the floor in this room is a little bit creaky, but yeah, let me show you around. Let me start off with the PC. So this is my desktop down here. I built this myself. It's based around a Corsair 650D case, I think. Let's see if I can show you the window. It's got a couple of 780s in there. I'm not sure whether SLIs are a good thing or not. I have so many problems with it, to be honest. But they're running my my desktop PC. It's an Asus motherboard. I think I've got 16 gig of RAM in there. And actually, I just really like the case. It was a really nice case. It's got excuse me, really not a lot of nice placement for fans and drives and stuff, so it worked really well for me, and it's nice looking. It closed the flap on the top there, and it makes the front look really nice and flush. That is running a couple of panels. Let's see if we can take a look. So my main monitor, which I mostly play on, is an LG panel. It's 1080p, and then I've got a Hazro 27-inch 2560 by 1440p panel as well. With the dual 780s, I can play games on there, but what I find I have problems with is recording game footage. So I do a lot of recording in straight 1080p. I've tried to do a few 1440p videos, but they just don't come out very well, and also they take a bloody age to process. So yeah, but I really like that monitor. It's one of the original Hazros. I put the details in the description for the kit, but it's a really nice monitor. I really love it because it's got excellent real estate, and when you run up Sony Vegas on there, you can really utilise all the space, which is really what I've got it for. What else can we show you on the desk? So let's just go in for a bit of a closer look. Plop myself down. So as far as equipment goes, we've got a Focusrite USB sound card, which is just here, and that's really nice. And I've got my Rode NT1A plugged into there. That all hangs off a Rode stand and tucks nicely behind the monitors to get it out of the way. And then next along, this is my Steelseries USB wireless sound everything, and that hooks up to my my Steelseries wireless headphones, which are absolutely fantastic. I've been using them a lot. I've seen so many reviews of these, and everybody comes away saying they're great. I think they're great too. They are a bit warm, I find, and they're also a little bit on the large side. So you know, if you're not into kind of really large headsets sticking off your noggin, then they're not ideal for you. But yeah, they're really good, and the wireless works really good. The battery charging is fantastic, because that unit over there has a charger in it, so you've got two batteries. You can just swap them over so easily. And then what else have we got along here? Just a USB hub. That's the power for the monitor. It's got a really stupidly short cable, and I can't route it up my my monitor stand properly. And then I've got I use this mechanical keyboard. It's a Ducky Shine 3, I think. It's brown, cherry MX brown key switches. It's really nice. I personally don't know whether the brown switches are any quieter than any of the other switches. They're supposed to be. I've actually got these damped with some O-rings from Wazda, I expect, and that really helps out. And then I've got my Corsair gaming mouse, which I really like. I've had this for ages and ages. I can't exactly remember the model number, but it works really well. I really like it. It's got a nice solid chunky feel, and it fits my hand really well. And I think that's one of the things with mice, is you have to try a few out before you kind of find one that fits. I'm going to really regret if that one ever breaks, which I'm sure it will at some point, because yeah, I'm going to have to struggle to find a new one. So that's my PC setup. Under the desk there is mess. As always with everybody, there is mess. That little flashing unit down there, that's my on the right hand side over here. That's our NAS where we keep all our music, and I back up the PCs in house to that. Got a network switch and stuff there as well. But that's not so interesting. So let's move along swiftly. So I've got my X52 Pro Cytec joystick here, which is still in the box. I have used it a couple of times. I used it for Elite Dangerous, which I'm playing a lot of at the moment. But it's a bit of a faff to get out of the box, and actually I'm really enjoying playing with a mouse at the moment, so that's easy. And then over here, this is a this is basically a rack I built out of 2 tables from IKEA. I basically cut the legs down because I couldn't find anything that fitted in the corner nicely to put my amp and my Blu-ray player on. So starting from underneath, I've got my Cambridge Audio Mini subwoofer under there, and then there's my Pioneer amp and my Pioneer Blu-ray player. If you ever watched any of my previous videos, I had a huge great plasma TV, and when we moved house I didn't have room for that, but I did keep my AV equipment, so that's there. And then that white box on top, let me zoom in, that's my Sonos player, and that's connected into the amp, and then it goes out to the speakers. Let me see if I can, let's have a look at the telly first. So this is my new TV. We've got a bit of Halo Master Chief Collection going on there. This is a Sony Bravia 42-inch. It's a really straightforward TV, smart TV, but it's not 3D. And I tell you what, not buying 3D keeps the price down a hell of a lot. So that's why I did that. And then I've got these really, really tiny and cute Cambridge Audio M1 speakers, I think they're called, on their little stands. They are really cool. They don't take up any room, and they make a really nice sound. It's not as good as my previous set of speakers. I had some B&Ws before, but they fit the room nicely, which is really good. So that's those. And then let me see, I don't think I'm going to be able to get it all in, but these are my consoles. And I'll go through them all, but yeah, basically that's 2 sets of IKEA bookshelves with holes drilled through the back of the cabling. I am not showing you the cabling, it is a mess behind there, absolute nightmare. But yeah, so let's start with the handhelds. Let's check those out. So I've got 3 GBA SPs there, and I'll explain why. The blue one here is one I repaired. It was completely and utterly broken, and I had a real excellent time repairing that. I had to replace some of the surface mount components on it to get it to work, and I did that. It was a real achievement. The silver one is a standard GBA SP. I just replaced the case on that, and that's getting ready to be sold, to be honest. And then the black one is my pride and joy GBA SP, because this is a backlit one. Let me just power it on so you can see. This thing's got a gorgeous screen. I had to buy it from the US in the end to get one, and it was actually in a knackered old case, and so I just put it into a new case. Yeah, I can't remember what that game is. Luke Morse was showing that game. It's really cool. Just switch that off. We don't want that going on. And then I've got my 3DS, my black 3DS, and behind there is an old Gameboy Color, which I also renovated. It wasn't working when I got it, and it just turned out it was the battery case. It got completely and utterly corroded, so it was a really simple fix. My PS Vita, which I really haven't got into properly, but it is an excellent piece of kit. Really, really nice. The box for my Shield tablet, which is broken and is supposed to be going back to Nvidia, but they haven't sorted out my RMA yet. Then, next shelf, we've got an original Sega Master System and an original Mega Drive, or Genesis for you guys in the US. These are both PAL units. They're actually running off one power supply. What I've done is I've got rid of the wall plugs, because the wall warts, because they don't fit into my kind of setup where I've got everything, how I've got everything powered up. So it actually took an old, I think it's a 9-volt laptop power supply, and just split that and use that to power the devices. There's enough current in there for it to run both, but I never have them both on at the same time, so there's no problem. And then let's head down a bit. So we've got my original NES, which actually I'm really pleased with. It was a bit of a lucky, fluky buy on eBay, and it works, touch wood, he says, touching is annoying. It works really well. And then I've got a slightly discoloured Super Nintendo, a very nice N64, and then I'll carry on going along because all the Nintendo consoles are in one row. And then I've got an original GameCube and my Wii U. I don't actually have a Wii. I never really got into Nintendo Wii consoles. I had the original ones when I was a kid, but I never really got into the Wii at all. And of course the Wii U does both anyway, so that's really nice. And then what else have we got? Down here we've got my special edition Xbox 360. We've got to power that on in a minute so you can hear the noises. Then we've got PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2 Fat, PlayStation 2 Slim. So let me tell you about those. So the Xbox 360, the Star Wars Special Edition, that I ended up getting that because my original 360 broke, and I kept my eyes on the Star Wars ones, but they're ridiculously expensive, stupidly overpriced. But then they obviously lost favour with them, and I actually managed to pick mine up for like 20 quid more than a normal 360, which I was well chuffed with. And it's really nice. I've still got the original gold CP30 controller wrapped up in the original packaging, because it's a daft thing to try and use. PS4, obviously I got a PS4 when they came out. PS3, this was a special edition blue one. It comes with blue controllers as well. It's really nice. It's on a stand. Then we've got two retros. So the PS2 Fat I picked up off of eBay as spares or repairs. I had no idea what was wrong with it. It didn't look like the seller had even tested it to see if it powered up. And so I bought it. It was a tenner plus like £2 shipping or something. It's dirt cheap, really dirt cheap. And that's how I've been trying to get my old consoles nowadays, is just trying to get old ones and repair them. It was an absolute filthy mess when I got it, and I really need to do a separate video about stripping it down, because basically what I did was I stripped it all down, I cleaned it up, plugged it all back in. It would power up, no problem, but there was nothing, and there's no video signal. And I tweaked around with it, and actually it was probably my AV setup that was causing the problem. And I eventually got it to work, literally just by cleaning it up. I also got in there and tweaked the laser assembly for the CD player, because I was having some problems reading CDs. And the reason I've got a PS2 Slim is I've had that for ages. It's a tiny little thing, it's really cool, it just tucks away in the corner, it's great. And I can play PS1 games on that, and currently the only thing I can't get the PS2 to do is play PS1 games, and I'm not sure whether that's because of its age, whether there was the backward compatibility at the time, or what have you. So basically I've got PS2 Fat and the PS2 Slim there for running my PS1 games. And then where should we go next? Last of the consoles. I'll show you all the how it's all hooked up in a minute. So, and I've got my day one Xbox One there with a USB 3. I think that's a 1 terabyte drive plugged in, because obviously there's no bloody space in these things. It's absolutely ridiculous. Some of the games are like 30, 40, 50 gigs, and it's just like, yeah, well, that was rubbish. I know they were trying to keep costs down, but it's damned annoying. But I've got a external hard drive on there, and that works really well. And then let's have a look at the controllers. So on the top shelf there, I've got PS4. These are one of my special edition PS3 blue controllers, which match up with the console. Xbox 360 controller, that's just a standard black one, because I really like the standard black ones, they're really cool. Wii Pro controller and Xbox One controller. And then for you retro fiends, NES controller, N64 controller, 2 SNES controllers, and 2 DualShock 2 wired controllers. I've got a ton of other controllers and haven't actually got them out. Let's just quickly go and look at the GameCube. I haven't actually got controls for the GameCube out. I've actually got one of the wireless GameCube controllers, which works really well. Had to pay a bit of money for that on eBay because they're a bit of a bugger to come by, but anyway. And then remotes for everything and a few switch boxes up there. I'll show you some of those in action. Now, how it's all wired up. So basically, all of the modern consoles. Let me zoom out a bit so we can get the whole picture. All of the modern consoles are wired in via HDMI, and they're hardwired to a network switch. So down here in the bottom right, we've got an HDMI switcher and a network box. And actually, I've got another HDMI switcher which I need to plug in as well. Pile that on top because I've actually run out of ports on the back. The one really nice thing I found about this is it's got an A and a B output, and I can have the output go into the TV through the amp, and I can have the other output with the same console connected to my game recording card, which is one of these. Sorry, excuse the zoom in. Which is one of these Roxio HD capture cards, HD Pro capture cards. Does HDMI stuff. And so I can basically plug that into the other output from my switcher, and works really well. And like I say, I've got another switcher on there because I haven't actually got all of the HDMI capable consoles connected. So that's the modern stuff. It's all HDMI. The HDMI goes into the switch through the amp. The sound's done on 5.1 to my Cambridge audio speakers, and then the video output goes to the telly. All hardwired in, and that switch is hardwired into my router, which is downstairs. When we had the house renovated, I had some Ethernet plumbed in so I could hardwire everything in. And then the retro consoles, they are going via my pride and joy, which is a mess. So I've got an XRGB mini frame meister there. I've done a few videos on that before, so I won't go into too much detail. And I've got a SCART switch there, and that's one of the old Keen SCART commanders. I've actually got 2 of those, and I need to plug the other one in as well, and you can actually daisy chain them together. So all the retro consoles, most of them are RGB. They come into the SCART switcher, and then they go from the SCART switcher into the XRGB mini, and then up, not going through the amp, going directly into the TV. And as you can see, I've got a console plugged into the front there. That's my N64, which only does S-video, so that's plugged in directly to the front there. My NES actually isn't wired up at the moment because that's only got composite, and I'm actually thinking about doing a mod on that, either to RGB with Vile Tim's mod, or Game Tech US, I think the guy is on YouTube. He's really cool and he does a lot of mods. They're coming up with an HDMI output for the NES, and I'm seriously tempted to have a go at that when it's available. So that's how all that works. So let me just quickly go through the consoles and tell you which ones do RGB, the retro ones. So we have got Master System, that's because it's the original Power one, that does RGB, and the Mega Drive does RGB. The NES doesn't, Super Nintendo does, N64 doesn't, that does S-video as a max. There's a mod for that as well, by a guy in France, which I maybe will look into at some point. GameCube does RGB, and then we've got PlayStation 2s, they both do RGB. Let's see if we can zoom out a little bit. Out, Adrian. Both the PS2s do RGB, and so they're just plugged, they share a cable really, I just have to unplug one. Okay, so that's all the retro stuff. And then last but not least is my power setup. Now, doing power for all these old consoles is a real mess. So I basically bought a couple of these. Only one of them's powered up at the moment because I haven't finished using it, but it's nearly full, the bottom one. And basically got an individual switch on there for each console. I will do a better video on how I've got all that wired up at some point, because basically I need to pull stuff out and show how it's all connected together. But yeah, with most modern consoles, they either use a 2-pin or a 3-pin cable. You can get connectors for the back of these switch boxes, which are really for DJs. And and yeah, and just plug them in, and it works a treat. And especially because you're not drawing a lot of load, because you only have one on at a time, because obviously you can only display one at a time. Then yeah, it works fine. With the retro consoles, it's all a little bit more shag and hassle, especially because a lot of them are wall warts, so you can't plug them into the back of these. You need to use trailing leads and stuff like that, and I've worked out a couple of ways to get around those. While we're talking about that, let me show you my my video game collection. So I haven't got a lot of video games, it's just along there. So I've got a load of Xbox 360 titles, and then on the bottom shelf is my retro games. I'm not going to go through each of these ones. One of the things I will talk about though briefly is that I've used coverproject.net for the covers for a lot of these. I hate the blooming Nintendo cardboard boxes. They're so annoying, and they squash and damage so badly that I've got them in these retro game cartridge holder thingies from the US, and only use Cover Project to print them out. Let me just show you one of the. This is one of the boxes which just got a SNES game in that I don't need, and I can't open it, of course. There we go. And basically, they have little clips in for all different types of games. I'm not sure whether you can actually see that very well. Let me put it in front of the telly. So yeah, they've got this little arrangement inside, and you can basically clip Mega Drive games, SNES games, NES games. You can fit a whole load in there, and so I've just used those because it makes storing them nice and easy. I actually bought a load of those off a guy in the UK that was importing them. And then last but not least, over here we've got mess. Basically, this is storage. So I've got my wardrobe there, and then that other side is with all my crap basically in. And then on top I've got all my video game console boxes. As you can see, I've got a Dreamcast up there. I'm still trying to work out how to connect that. I really need a VGA box for that, because that's the best way to do those. I've got a Neo Geo. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I've got boxes for 3DO. I haven't got that out yet. I need to sort that out. GameCube on the left, Master System. The Dreamcast, I need to sort that out as well. And my Neo Geo X, which I need to try and work out how to plug in. That's HDMI though, so that's easy. A couple of special editions, Fable 3, and I think that's Halo 4 maybe. My Wii and my Star Wars. Anyway, I hope that was interesting. Sorry I went on a bit of a long time. I've got a lot of stuff to show. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions about, the XRGB or the retro consoles. Give you a bit more detail about what's gone on. Happy to talk about how I've got all my power and stuff set up and how I've got all the connections wired through. Like I say, I will do a little bit more of a video about the power stuff at some point. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate your support. I'll be back soon. Cheers.